Welcome to the Deep Dive. It's great to have you with us as we, gently pull back the layers on concepts that often leave us pondering, maybe sometimes even a little puzzled. Today we're stepping into a really profound and often misunderstood phrase, the fear of God. It's a concept that can feel a bit jarring, can't it? I think many of us, even those really deep in our faith, might carry a subtle, maybe unconscious misunderstanding. Like, how can we truly love God, feel his embrace, his closeness, and at the same time fear him? It almost sounds contradictory, like two opposing forces in one relationship. But our deep dive into this has really unearthed something profound, I think. It reshapes this whole idea. So our mission today is really to engage in a meaningful reflection, sort of designed to unpack this powerful spiritual truth. We're going to explore what it truly means to fear God, moving beyond those common misconceptions to discover a deeper, far more enriching understanding of what this actually means for our daily lives, for a walk with the divine.
Yeah, it's a journey that I think really promises to reframe our perspective, transforming what might feel like, a burden into more of an invitation. We'll be gently reflecting on some key scriptures, digging into some rich insights, touching on the historical understanding a bit, and finding practical ways this concept can profoundly bless and transform your daily life. Think of this reflection maybe as a companion, sort of guiding you through a meaningful daily thought.
Okay, so let's get right into it then. Because what we found so striking, like right off the bat, challenges a common assumption. When we hear, what does it mean to fear God? I think a lot of us might picture, dread, punishment, maybe even shrinking away from a stern, distant God. But the insights we looked at immediately clarify that this isn't about being scared of God in that cowering sense. Instead, it points to something much richer.
A reverent awe.
Yeah, a profound humility and a willing obedience. It's about truly recognizing his absolute holiness, his unwavering justice, and his, ultimate authority.
Exactly. It's not terror.
Right? Not terror, but a deep, loving respect that, naturally leads us towards righteous living, towards worship and submission. That distinction alone, wow, it's incredibly powerful.
What's truly fascinating here is how the biblical understanding immediately shifts our perspective away from that feeling of dread towards a posture of profound honor. It's a voluntary posture of the heart, you see, a recognition of God's ultimate sovereignty. I'd really encourage you, listening, to consider if this initial redefinition already starts to shift your own understanding, maybe moving it away from just a simple negative motion to something that actually draws you closer. It's really about recognizing the sheer majesty, the sacredness of God, and, our place within his grand design.
Okay, so once we sort of grasp this reverent fear, this really fascinating and foundational connection emerges. It's not just about a feeling, is it? It's about the very cornerstone of wisdom itself. I was really struck by how deeply this reverence is tied to wisdom. That made me wonder, why are they so inherently linked? Well, the scriptures make it abundantly clear. Proverbs 9:7 declares, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding." And Psalm 111:10, it echoes this profound truth. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. So this idea that all true wisdom, all genuine understanding, all moral clarity actually begins with this fear of the Lord. And that is truly profound. It's presented as the actual starting point.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see, this isn't just intellectual knowledge like knowing facts. It's more a foundational stance that reorients our entire being towards truth. This reverent fear is, the source, the wellspring of moral clarity, our ability to really discern right from wrong, and spiritual discernment, which is our capacity to understand God's path for us. It aligns our hearts with truth and humility, and that prepares us to truly learn and obey. It's like a spiritual readiness, wouldn't you say? A deep inner posture, allowing wisdom to take root and flourish. And that helps us answer why this fear is called the beginning of wisdom, because it aligns our hearts with truth and humility, preparing us to learn and obey. It's that essential first step in truly receiving and responding to God's truth.
That really does make sense, because without that foundational reverence, any knowledge we gain would just be information, wouldn't it? It wouldn't change us. But with this reverent fear, it becomes transformative. Okay, so this brings us kind of full circle to our initial paradox. How do love and this redefined fear coexist in our relationship with God? It still seems like they could potentially pull us in different directions.
That's a crucial and, I think, a beautiful question, and our insights address it head on. This reverent fear brings what's called a holiness awareness, a recognition of God's absolute purity and, importantly, our accountability before him. It also provides a balanced view of God, helping us understand that he is both infinitely loving and perfectly just. So fearing him means honoring both his boundless mercy and his righteous judgment. So when you ask, can a believer love God and fear him at the same time? The answer we found is a resounding yes. You see, love draws us near to God with affection and trust. Reverent fear keeps us humble and obedient, ensuring we approach him with the profound respect and awe he deserves. Psalm 2.11 touches on this. It's not really a contradiction, but more like a beautiful synergy, a dynamic dance.
Yeah, and this clarification really tackles that common misconception, doesn't it? The idea that love cancels out fear. It makes it so clear that while perfect love casts out tormenting fear, that dread or anxiety we talked about, it absolutely does not cast out reverent fear. As 1 John 4.18 tells us, there's a really distinct difference there. This reverent fear is the kind that actually makes us want to draw closer, not run away. It's a profound respect that, surprisingly maybe, deepens intimacy. And this concept isn't just, theoretical. It has very real, practical outcomes for how we live our lives. The material highlights Ecclesiastes 12.13, which gives its powerful conclusion. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. The whole duty of man. Wow. That's a pretty strong statement, isn't it?
It is.
It suggests this concept isn't just for individuals. It's shaped entire communities throughout history. So how does this translate into our desire to please God today, into our daily walk?
Indeed. This reverent fear is presented as a powerful motivator for obedience. It's not about being forced, right? It's about being inspired to live a life that honors such a magnificent God. If you look back at history, in ancient Israel, the Hebrew word yirah, which covers awe, reverence, and even moral caution, it was woven into the very fabric of their society. Just imagine the reverence in their worship, the carefulness in their justice system, the way families taught their children, all infused with this profound respect for God's holiness. It wasn't about being terrified of judgment all the time, but about honoring the source of all life and wisdom. And you see this thread continue right into the early church. We read about believers walking in the fear of the Lord in Acts 9.31. This fear was often shown through humility, maybe a bowed posture, silence, obedience, but profound respect, not panic or superstition. This shows it's a timeless principle, very much alive for us today, and it helps us clear up some common challenges people might have.
Like what?
Well, like the idea that fear of God is outdated. Our insights firmly establish its role as the very foundation of wisdom and duty. Or for those who might think, oh, only unbelievers should fear God, our sources remind us that believers are explicitly called to walk in godly fear. Philippians 2.1 encourages this. And importantly, if you've ever wondered if fear is incompatible with grace, remember that grace actually teaches us to live soberly and godly. Titus 2.1112 points this out. So grace and reverent fear work together beautifully.
That really brings it right into the present for us, doesn't it? It's not some ancient, dusty concept, but a living, breathing principle for our lives right now. So how can we make this tangible? How can you, listening, make this real in your everyday experience? Our material offers several insights, and one really stood out for its simplicity and power. Begin each day with reverence, acknowledging God's authority over your life. Just pause and think about that for a moment. It's not just a religious formality, it's a profound mindset shift. Maybe it's a moment of quiet prayer before you even get out of bed, or perhaps a conscious thought as you start your commute, or a pause before a difficult conversation, deliberately placing that situation under God's loving sovereignty.
That simple, intentional act can profoundly reframe your perspectives, can guide your decisions, and cultivate a deeper, moment-by-moment awareness of God throughout your entire day. It shifts the starting point, right? Instead of just rushing into the day's demands, you pause. You acknowledge the ultimate authority and the source of peace. And this raises an important question for each of us, I think. What part of our daily rhythm truly reflects this acknowledgement of divine authority and holiness? How might integrating just this one practice transform your outlook and deepen your connection with God?
As we gently bring this reflection, this deep dive, to a close, let's just revisit the core message, that beautiful summary our material offers. To fear God is to honor him deeply, to live in awe of his holiness, submit to his authority, and walk in obedience. It is not terror,
No, not terror.
but reverent humility that leads to wisdom, worship, and spiritual maturity.
And what's perhaps most beautiful, and maybe for some most surprising, is that profound conclusion. The fear of the Lord is not a barrier to intimacy, it is the gateway to it. Those who fear God truly know him, love him, and serve him with joy and reverence. It's actually a path to deeper connection, not distance, a pathway to truly knowing and being known by our Creator.
So, embracing this reverent, worshipful fear isn't a retreat into dread at all. It's actually a beautiful journey into deeper faith, It's an invitation to a richer spiritual life, to a fuller, more authentic, and more joyful relationship with the divine. So for you, as you go about your day, maybe just consider this. How might embracing this reverent, worshipful fear transform your closest relationship with God? How might it open new pathways to joy, to peace, and to truly knowing Him? Take that thought with you and just let it gently guide your reflection today.